hope Bro Tito's still out there, but for some reason the stream got deleted, or it didn't actually save on my channel, I guess. But so I'm gonna try and do this again, and I do want to reach out to you. By the way, I am following your channel and have enjoyed the content you put out. Yeah, and been thinking about you for a long time. So, but yes, I am back on here, and once again, subject of tonight's video is the new channel, The Bible Meta, where I'm going to be diving into the Bible meta, which is Jesus, the Son of God. Just ate dinner. So, the Bible Meta, I've posted several videos on there dealing with some interesting topics, things that I've been thinking about for many years, things that I've kept to myself, mostly, but people who know me best probably know more than they want to know, but in some cases, maybe not. It's a lot, but some people might think that I'm like grasping at, sort of straining a gnat, I guess. Straining gnats, but I do think that there's value in evaluating and reevaluating our notions, preconceived notions, or things that have been taught to us since childhood or early on, things that we kind of take for granted and just kind of look over. Then sometimes there are things beneath the surface that we miss and that we need to, that maybe the key to understanding something that's been holding us back in some way. Understanding does bring clarity. I think they're pretty much synonymous. So, some of the things I've been going over in these videos over there are how do we understand the personality of Jesus Christ, Jesus of Nazareth, and like it's a really simple question: who is he? But when we ask that question, again, there are a lot of preconceived theological notions, like I just believe that we do have to be careful putting God in a box, and then that can sound really, I guess that sounds oversaid, but maybe, but by what I mean by that is just seeing God as a theological framework, or to hold to. Um, like knowing God, knowing Jesus. There's function in it. Like um, there's growth in it. God teaches us, and there's understanding about Him. But it's also it's on a relational level. Of course, everyone says, it's about it's not about, I don't know what the saying goes, but they say it's about a relationship, a relationship, and sometimes I know that used to sound really cheesy to me, and like really just maybe it's the way that people said that, kind of effeminately. um, and I feel like a lot of church organizations have used that, it's about a relationship, and they've kind of put themselves in as make themselves the facilitators of that relationship. But it is a personal relationship that God has with each of His people, wherever they are. It is individually and collectively they make up His body. But it's can be a lonely road in the lane of truth. Truth only, or caring about truth. Sometimes where you see things that to me, like some of Jesus' statements hold just a lot of significance. I mean, really, all of Jesus's words hold significance because He is God's own expression, self-expression. So everything He says is layered with meaning, and deep meaning, symbolism. In some cases, some people take symbolism probably too far, or maybe distort or misuse symbolism, and sometimes it may just be benign and not really, may just be something fascinating. I think there are small things and big things that are can be revelatory in our understanding of the scriptures as we grow in our understanding of the scriptures, because all of scripture is there's just so much that can be related back and forth. You could spend a lifetime and not make all the connections that are there. And so different people will make different connections, but we also have to be careful not or be on guard about making the wrong connections and distorting our view of God. And not that we can really distort our view of God, because God is, if you know Jesus, if Jesus knows you, really, because he initiates his relationship with you when you're his, and he reveals himself through the Son. And so one of the topics I'm really interested in, and I've been following for a long time, is the Trinity of God, as well as the singularity of God, singularity and the unity of God. So, you know, there's a lot of definitions, and really just there are a lot of views, there are a lot of sides, historical sides, and different things, and there's denominational sides today, and but I think the truth is worth investigating, and the truth doesn't fear. The saying, "Truth doesn't fear investigation." Well, if the truth is Christ, then he wants to reveal himself to his people. That was his intent by speaking the words that he spoke. Was to reveal his character, his nature, who he is, everything about him, and his relationality with us as individuals. Is on full display in the Son of God when he walked this earth, in his life and his death and resurrection, as the story goes. And so discussing his, I'm not maybe the best person to speak on this topic, or really any topic, but I do have a desire to speak on these topics, and simply my goal in it is to understand and know God ultimately. So and ultimately that should be everybody's goal who's seeking truth and who's seeking God. And I do realize that people are coming from different backgrounds or different levels of knowledge, experience through life. But I don't have, it's not that I have, I don't think I have access to anything that everybody else doesn't have access to as far as knowledge now these days. So, for the most part. But I do want to speak on topics, that do interest me. And so, yeah, on the Bible meta, I'm going to be kind of asking the deeper questions. I feel like the heart questions of the whole Trinity oneness debate, if you want to call it that, which I don't want to really throw myself into the middle of a quote unquote debate between two sides and like on that. So if somebody wants to frame me that way, I just don't want any part of it. I'm not fighting for a religious domination or anything like that. So just get to the point. So the point is, the problem I have with this, let's talk about the Trinity side, because that's obviously going to be the most salacious, I guess, for a lot of people, because if you deny the Trinity, a lot of people will say, if you deny the Trinity, which means I think there's 3 statements about God in classical Trinity thing, like, um, and I forget what they are, so it just shows how unprepared I am. But I'm sure I can come up with them in a second. But I'm just trying to reason this out as just a regular nobody. Like, um, do I need to do hours of research to figure out what God is saying about Himself in the Bible? And do I need to work within some theological framework that's been the confessions or whatever, or can I just see what the main point in the Bible is? And but as far as defining God, so that, when we're talking about Trinity, oneness, or what, or anything, just defining, we're talking about defining God. And how can you even do that? How can you even define God? It almost, just from like a very base level, sounds very kind of arrogant almost, but to kind of like, like putting God in a box, like I mentioned earlier. But I think we do have to define what we mean personally when we talk about God. Obviously, if we were going to talk about God to other people, but obviously God defines Himself. So this is the main point, is that God defines Himself. So from a Trinitarian perspective, God is defining Himself as three. You would classically hear persons. And I feel like that's really the sticking point, is that word person. And what that's in all the debate I've heard about Trinity denying versus Orthodox Trinitarians. It comes down to, I feel like the people on the questioning Trinitarian side, the problem they have maybe is in the definition of a person, what that means to have or be three persons. Like, does, when I think of, and I've really, the reason why I'm bringing this up even in the first place, because, even as a child, this was something that, it just didn't make sense to me. Like, I just had to, have to accept whatever is told to you. But, I'd be having images in my head of, like three bodies, walking around, three, like, and, the idea of three consciousnesses, three beings, three, what is it? That's really where I feel like the rub is, and is in how we're defining that. And I feel like the majority of what I've seen Trinitarian wise is really kind of failed to acknowledge just the general difficulty in explaining that. Now, another reason why is because there's this common image that you'll see oftentimes of, you'll see an image of, like, it says Trinity, it's like a triangle or whatever, and it's like, it says God in the middle. Let me just pull it up, actually. Let me see if I can share it. So, like, is this okay? So, the Trinity image, like, it says something like God is not there. Yeah, right there. So it says, yeah, this is actually an inverted triangle. Okay, but regardless, when it says is not, I don't know if my mouse can be seen on over this, but it just doesn't sound. Just something about this is doesn't seem right. And I know what people say that the is not is that there's distinction between the Father, the Son, that they're distinguished in the Bible. And in order to have distinguishment, you have to have difference. And so then to have difference, that would imply that they're separate. There's separation. And I feel like it just there's a logical jump that's made there somewhere that maybe is not even necessary at all. Is what I'm kind of thinking, and because distinction doesn't necessarily mean division, complete division. It can mean characterization or further definition or distinction, and but anyway, you've got 4 points here that are intersecting. So there's that four. What do these points consist of? They said, I've heard Trinitarian language say that the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit share the same essence, which is God. So, what does essence consist of? What does essence mean? Is that material? Is it matter? Is it thought? Is it existence? Is it being? These are all questions that are definitely valid and, worth exploring. Of course, we don't want to get caught up in the weeds, but let me just say that, to accept, to put something like this up, an image like this up, and to say that, accepting this is, a test of orthodoxy is, that's ridiculous. I don't have to accept this, but this is the new channel right here, the Bible Meta. I don't know if that's, let me make sure that's on my display. Yeah, it is. Okay, so this is the new channel right here. And you can see my videos on there. And they're about this topic. I'm going to go over that more there. But like I was saying, that we have to ask these questions. I just want to get this off my screen. You got two, again, you've got in these pictures 2 bodies, 2 people, like an image here, here's your Trinity, according to what they're saying. But this is not, this is just something that somebody's made up. Anyway, that's not a picture of God, the Father, and Jesus, and the dove or whatever. There's a lot, the meaning is a whole lot deeper than that in the Bible. And anyways, I'm not the greatest speaker, like I said before. I say a lot and a lot. But I'm going to try and hopefully as I do this more, my mouth can kind of relax a bit more and I can speak a little more freely. Like I would like to. But I do think it's critical to understand what Jesus mean, what God means, and really a critical question to me too is about Jesus himself. Because is Jesus himself, does he have one mind or does he have 2 minds? Because it's taught, I guess by some Trinitarians and things like that Jesus has 2 minds, 2 wills, and I don't know what else. But, to me, the mind or capacity of thinking is like, or at least processing through one's existence uh, is essential to a being and a person. So, and the person is the being. You know, and the mind is the um, is also the being. You could say. So when people try to split up the mind of Christ, to say that Jesus has two minds and two wills, I just have that also doesn't sit right with me. Um, we have to. I don't feel like questioning that out of hand. I don't think that's immediately obvious. Personally, I think it may appear that way to a lot of people, just on the surface, that Jesus maybe has two minds, or like maybe his human mind is not as aware of of the Father as he could be. That Jesus is basically learning everything as it happens, just like we do, and that he doesn't know what's going to happen next, maybe, or maybe sometimes he does. I've heard people say things like, his divine side hid knowledge from his human mind. And that's why some people come up with this idea of two minds, is because they say, well, look, Jesus, he grew in wisdom and stature. It says it in Luke 2. So he grew in wisdom. There you go. Like he in learning, and it says in favor with God and men. Therefore, he grew in favor with God. So that some people, if we just read that on a surface level, it would seem like he is growing in favor with God, and we have to interrogate this a little bit. What does it really mean? And I think the meaning, to me, the really simple explanation is that this, when it talks about in Luke 2, let me go there real quick. I'll just look it up here. In Luke 2, I think it's like 59. I was just looking at it the other day. Or maybe it's not 59. Anyway, Luke 2, we'll go to the Bible Gateway. It's at the end. Right. Where am I? Oh, there you go. What? Okay, my phone battery is going down. That's okay. Okay, something. I think I looked up the wrong thing. I'm just gonna search for it this way. He grew in wisdom, stature. There we go. And Luke 2:52. Okay. So go there. And it's right there. But Jesus grew in wisdom, stature, and favor with God and man. So to me, I would explain this as this is the explanation. This is the narrative. This is the part of the narrative. That's just basically stating that this is from the outside view of the people who saw him, people who were around him at the time. Because the story, the context is his mother and father at the Passover festival. When he was 12, they went to the festival. His parents were returning home, but the boy Jesus stayed behind in Jerusalem, but they were unaware of it. Thinking he was in their company, they traveled on for a day. Then they began looking for him among their relatives and friends. When they did not find him, they went back to Jerusalem to look for him. After 3 days, they found him in the temple courts, sitting among the teachers, listening to them and asking them questions. Everyone who heard him was amazed at his understanding and his answers. When his parents saw him, they were astonished. His mother said to him, "Son, why have you treated us like this? Your father and I have been anxiously searching for you." Why were you searching for me? He said. Didn't you know I had to be in my Father's house? But they did not understand what he was saying to them. Then he went down to Nazareth with them and was obedient to them. But his mother treasured all these things in her heart. And Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. So this last statement, and Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man, is kind of, to me, what this is a summary statement. It's a summary statement just to summarize what's being already said by these stories about Jesus when he was younger. I mean, this is really just one of the only stories I think that we have of, or few that we have of him as, in his younger days. So, so this statement is, because Luke is written from the third person point of view, and even is probably Luke got this information from, or this story probably got it from Jesus's mother herself, if not a relative, and that's Luke probably interviewed her, and that's probably where this came from, and so I feel like this is Luke's statement, or just a generalized statement, just to say that he grew from the outside perspective. To other people, he was growing in wisdom and stature. Stature is just height, or growth, bodily growth. Wisdom could just mean the exercise of wisdom. And favor with God and man, again, is just the exercise of him being shown or proven to be in favor with God, that God favored him. The proof of it grew or was revealed progressively over time. That's what I'm trying to get at. That's a huge word salad that I just made. But the point is that this doesn't tell us that Jesus had a second mind, or had a mind that didn't know anything. We assume because he grew in wisdom here that he must have not known some things. But personally, share my personal view, is that I would contend that Jesus, even when he was a baby in the manger, just born, was completely self-aware of who he was, what his purpose was to do, and everything else. And people don't want to accept that. They want to say, well, you're saying that he could do calculus or something. I'm just thinking of some objection. Well, could he do calculus? Because that's where people's mind will go. They want to know what he's capable of. Well, of course he's capable of everything, but that's not the point of why he came. He came to take away sin, and to bring salvation, to bring on the new creation. And that's why he was born. When he was born, he was put in a manger. A manger is a feeding trough for animals, right? And remember, when Jesus grew up, he said, unless you eat my flesh and drink my blood, you have no life in you. So that's what he means by flesh and blood, of course, is his words and his sacrifice, his life. So his life and sacrifice. So, and even though he doesn't talk as a baby, it doesn't mean that he's not just choosing not to talk as a baby yet, and to reveal himself gradually over time as, basically to blend in until his time. Blend in at least to some degree, but he does leave clues all throughout his life. And that's what these young accounts are there for us for. That's the purpose of these few childhood accounts of Jesus, is to clue us in to his destiny from the get-go, before it had been revealed fully at the proper time, when he was a full grown young I say young, well, adult. I guess 30, around 30 would be a full adulthood. So, anyways, this is the NIV. I prefer Wycliffe Bible lately. Supposed to be the oldest English Bible. But anyways, so that might already be a mouthful. I'm going to check the comments now. See where we're at. And where are my comments at? And then I'm probably going to have to log off here because my children are about to go crazy. Chat. Okay, no one's in the chat. Anyways, check out my other channel, YouTube at The Bible Meta. Let me know your thoughts on this discussion tonight, this evening, here at Dan's La Musique. And let me know your thoughts about the topic tonight. I think it was actually supposed to have some other topics as well. State of the Flat Earth Movement. Yeah, here's the picture of the channel here. So please check this out and please subscribe, because I need more subscribers there. I'm trying to get some of this information out. Not that I'm trying to hit it big. I just I would just like the interaction. So maybe I'll get to State of the Conspiracy Movement, or I guess that failed conspiracy, because because it doesn't matter. Anymore. It's all coming to an end. Certain end. Waking up to the evil of this world is not really waking up. light of Christ. In his darkest moment. That's waking up. When he rises. When he rose. When he comes again. So yeah. Anybody in the chat by chance? Probably not. It's okay. I just hope this video actually saves this time. My camera's kind of bugging out. It may die here. The battery of my phone has been slowly draining. I've got this filter on. It's like doesn't know where to focus because it can't see my face anymore. All right, I should just shut it down, but I do want to talk about some more about this stuff. I think I've said enough to digest. And so, from Dan's La Musique and the Bible Meta, this is good night.